I'd like to call to order the Town of McCandless Council's regular business meeting for March the 25th, 2019. We have the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation by Councilmember Powers.
We meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessing on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes of Council's regular business meeting of February 25th, 2019, as submitted to each member of Council?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Or any comments or any changes that need to be made to the minutes? All right, hearing none, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the Council's regular business meeting of February 25th, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Under announcements, you want to make the motion?
Oh, sure. Move to approve resolution number 3 of the 2019 series, a resolution recognizing Merrill E. Klein, Personnel Board Chair, for his long-term dedicated service.
I second the motion.
There's been a motion and a second. Are there any discussion? Mr. Klein, would you please come up? This is a resolution recognizing Merrill E. Klein for his 31 years of outstanding and dedicated service as a member of Town Council and a member and chairman of the Town of McCandless Personnel Board. Whereas Merrill E. Klein served as a council member of Ward 6 of the Town of McCandless from 1986 through 1989, and whereas Mr. Klein volunteered to serve as a member of Town's Personnel Board, a position he held from January 1st of 1992 to December 31st, 2018. And whereas Merrill Klein employed his wide and deep range of knowledge he obtained from his education, which included his intriguing master's degree in the philosophy of science and his many years and significant roles in human service as the United States Steel Corporation, and whereas Mr. Klein was selected by his Personnel Board colleagues to serve as its longtime chairman, and whereas Merrill clearly earned his respect and trust based on his intelligence, knowledge, integrity, thoroughness, experience, quiet, steady leadership, and whereas during his tenure, the Personnel Board and Mr. Klein carried out most effectively the primary mission of interviewing and evaluating many hundreds of candidates for the position of police officer, promotions of police officers, and a rare occasional disciplinary issue. And whereas Merrill always displayed true professionalism, a positive and calm demeanor while making the best possible choices as he so thoughtfully and carefully analyzed information before him and the Personnel Board. Now, be it resolved that it hereby resolved that the Town Council of the Town of McCandless extends to Merrill E. Klein its deepest appreciation of his honorable, selfless, and community-minded service to all McCandless residents and wishes him the very best in his future.
I haven't spoken publicly like this in a long time, so if I stutter and grasp for words, I've got a lot of people to thank for this, and probably starting with the council itself and going way back to when I became a council member back in 1986. I had a mentor, eventually a good friend, Bob Powers, and he told me a lot, instructed me and guided me, and he, along with Jerry Hoffman and no less than Toby, between the three of them, they taught me all about the duties and responsibilities of government, and they've served me well over the years. I'd like to introduce, the new personnel board: Jim Doherty, Don Ray, and Amy, and I get her name wrong all the time. Where's Bob? Are going to continue on the personnel board. They have experience, and I'm sure you're going to see the same kind of dedication and hard work that we've done over the years. But I think in the end, I just wanted to say something about, you mentioned, Kim, that our major job, or it really turned out to be the interviewing and selecting the candidates and presenting that to council. If you look at the town of McCandless, it's grown over the last 30 to 40 years. It's now a nationally recognized community. Not just locally and Allegheny County or even the state. We're national. And when you look at the things that make a good community, there's lots of things, whether it be the good schools or volunteer firemen, EMS, libraries, there's a list. At the heart of it, in my judgment, is the police force. And it's the police, the unsung heroes that 24/7, all the time, they're out there putting their life on the line. It doesn't happen that it gets terribly difficult, but there's a certain character. They're different people. And we're fortunate that they've been a part, and they certainly are significant in the growth of the community that we've had. And I can't say enough about the chiefs, right from the top with Chief DeSanti down to Anderson, through Ralph Ladon, McCabe, and then hundreds, literally hundreds of candidates. And now you have 2 top lieutenants in our judgment and 3 great sergeants. And there's a lot of things on the line. We've talked with the chief, and the board has talked about development, whether it be the hiring practice, the policies, the reporting structure, and the like. And I think good things to come. And with Carolyn, joining them, I look for even more advancement. I can't say thanks enough to all the police.
There's been a motion and a second to approve this resolution, and now you've heard the resolution. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There's a, we don't need a motion. No. Recognition of personnel assistant, Ms. Kaufman, for her retirement after 29 years of employment with the town of McCandless.
I see Ms. Kaufman in the audience. Come on up, Dale, please. That's, I don't know, this might happen. Dale Kaufman started out with McCandless as the first administrative assistant in the Public Works Department. And she was having a great start to a career there. And so about 6 years into that, we needed a personnel assistant in our office to handle payroll and benefits and the human service resources. So I thought of Dale, And that was one of the best decisions that I ever made. Why? Because she has all the traits that are needed for this job, including integrity. She is completely trustworthy and has proven that time and again. She's conscientious and meticulous, hardworking, putting in extra hours, and most of all, a perfectionist. She can't help that part, but it's good to have a perfectionist doing what you did, Dale. Dale transferred over to personnel and learned the many aspects of the job, largely self-taught. She had guidance from our finance director, assistant manager, and some from me, and from some other sources, but she poured through tax rules and regulations, personnel codes, union contracts, and just about anything else that this job encompasses, which is very wide and broad. Dale really grew into the job, and she performed admirably. Most importantly, she gave us all the greatest comfort that could happen to us, that we would be paid on time every 2 weeks. For 23 straight years, she made every payroll herself. But she also listened to us and was just an ear. In fact, she had, if you remember Lucy from Peanuts with the 5 cents worth of advice, she had that hanging on her door for a long time. And it really fit what she was doing, because in this job, it's not just churning out checks and catching the numbers, making sure everything is right. It's talking to people about births and deaths and marriages and retirements and challenges and successes. And she did that always respecting everybody's privacy. And she was looking out for us right down to the end of her career, including enforcing the dress code in the office. Such devotion to duty is timeless, Dale, so we have something that can help you mark time. Just don't want to drop it, that's all. So you know the tradition. This is inscribed with your name. For over 29 years of dedicated service, this is presented to you from Town Council, March 25th, today. And there's a cute little paperweight that comes along with this set that has the town logo on it. So many happy returns, Dale. You've left quite a legacy here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Here, let me give you the bag for this. And Marie thought, I want to have a copy of my remarks. It's up to you.
Thank you.
Here you go, if you want to take that. I don't know, do you have enough hands for that? Or you need help?
Yeah.
Take care. Thank you, Madam President.
We have a couple more announcements to make while our projector is getting set up. And that is Cleanup Day is April 6th, Saturday. Cleanup is from 10 to noon. We'll meet here at 9:30. There will be a continental breakfast, so please gather up your friends to help pick up some of the litter on the streets of McCandless. Also, I wanted to announce that we are advertising for our junior council member for the year 2019 to 2020 school year. We gotta all move over here so we don't have seizures from that line. As well as we have a position on the EAC for Ward 6. So if you know anyone in Ward 6 or you're in Ward 6 and you're interested in serving on the Environmental Advisory Committee, please put in your application. If you have an application already in, then we will notify you and ask you if you want to be re-interviewed or if you're still interested in that position. Okay, number 6, public hearing on the ordinance amending Part 13 Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances of the Town of McCandless that would modify development standards and add master plan regulations in order to provide for greater flexibility in the use and development of land in the C5 Commercial Residential District and to allow personal care homes as a permitted use in the C5 Commercial Residential District. The C5 district consists of the former Trader Warren's and Valley site and vacant land to the north of Blazer Drive. This public hearing will be reviewed at Council's Zoning Committee meeting April 8th, 2019. An ordinance will tentatively be considered for adoption at Town Council's regular business meeting on April the 22nd, 2019. Bruce?
This is our C5 zoning amendment. It was brought on by a proposed development or possible development. We had a large meeting on it back in October, and this is a result of that meeting. But a couple of administrative items before we get started. First off, this was advertised twice in the newspaper in accordance with the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. And second, it was sent to Allegheny County Economic Development Planning Division for comments. We did receive comments from them. They were basically, the comments we received where they were looking for clarification. It was somewhat ironic. The things they were looking for clarification on are all the items that we had a lot of discussion about and tried to clarify ourselves. But we feel as though that we came to some good conclusions with the ordinance that we have here. And as we go on, if we run into some problems with that and interpretations with what we've written, we will probably go back and reconsider what we've written. So this started, as I said, back in October 2018. We had a large meeting with 75 plus people in this room, and most of the comments to the Planning Commission and to the developer were positive comments. And there were a lot of good suggestions, and they got the idea, let's keep going with this. The problem that they had with keep going with it was our ordinance doesn't permit exactly what they wanted to do. So this ordinance addresses some of those concerns, but in the meantime, council, the Planning Commission, and some of the citizenry have had other ideas, other comments about what our C5 should entail. So we had a couple of meetings in the Planning Commission back in January and February of 2019, and we've had a couple of discussions with Town Council in February of 2019. So the area that we're talking about is the lime-colored area. Kim identified what those areas were, but this is, there's a parcel here which is on the corner. That is owned by the funeral home. This is a funeral home. This is the area that sits up there. If you're driving by, you see the eroded hillside up here. It's red beds. So if anybody wants a geology lesson and wants to know what red beds are, drive down Blazer Drive and look to your right if you're traveling to the west, and you'll see them. But the area that we're considering for redevelopment is this area. And there's a parcel down through here which is not included in it, but it's this area which was also mentioned in the motion. This is the Trader Warren, this is the former Bally's area. So that's the area we're talking about. So what we did was, the article we're talking about is 1335. It's called our C5 district. It was an all-encompassing, it was an early iteration of mixed-use development started in 1978. So some of these standards are still valid from 1978. We redid the ordinance in 2013. And this is some of what was deleted out of 1335-02, the standards. One of the key ones I want to point out here is we have in here a C5 district must contain a minimum of 30 acres. We are deleting that because this is one of two sections where we specify what a zoning district should contain. There's no real reason to have that in there. And for some reason, and this went in 1978, I'm not sure why that went in, but it was there, and as our council pointed out, there was no reason for it. So we're also changing definite or reasons. Since this is a mixed-use development, we said, why don't we treat it as a mixed-use development? Why is everything being treated the exact same way? So when we look at it, one of the things that we did add, instead of the 24,000 square feet, what we do have throughout the ordinance is minimum lot size. And the minimum gross lot area, in this case, This doesn't exist now. We're saying a lot has to have 24,000 square feet. The reason for the 24,000 square feet is that some of the uses should be larger than minimum residential standards. So we're also changing the front, side, and rear yards, and this is one of the things that we're changing is we're treating 1 and 2 family dwellings not exactly as we treat a 1 and 2 family dwelling anywhere because it still is within a commercial district, but we're reducing it from 200 feet to 100 feet, and also a personal care home we reduced to 100 feet. Throughout the town, personal care homes are 100-foot setbacks. The lots for all other areas, we kept a 200-foot setback that we have when it abuts R1 and R2 districts, and we are going to 100 feet when it abuts multifamily, planned residential development, and senior housing, 100 feet. And lots used when it abuts all other districts, which are commercial districts, the C districts that we have is a 50-foot. We also deleted these in our ordinance in 2013. We still, for some reason, and I'm not sure why we did it, had prescriptive buffer yards. And we're saying, okay, buffer yard must be this. So here we have buffer yard I's and buffer yard F. We're deleting those. And what we've gone to instead, or what we already had this in the ordinance, is what we have in our D development district. And we wrote this in 2013. And what this part of the ordinance does is it guides you through the de-development part of our ordinance. So someone, and we actually tested it on our engineer, our town engineer, and we also tested it on a developer to see if it made any sense to them, and sure enough it did, so we kept it. So this guides them through. The way it was written before, it just didn't, if you followed the details of the ordinance, you came to dead ends. So this specifies how to proceed when determining a buffer yard. Density is another area that we made some changes to. Note that townhouses are 13 maximum. Here what we did was we didn't have any density for 1 and 2 family dwellings. We went to 14 per gross acre, and also for our townhouses are 14 per gross acre. The thought with increasing it 1 was what's the difference between a garden apartment and a townhouse in terms of density, so why not keep them both the same? So we went to 14 for townhouses. We kept the 14 at garden apartments. The personal care homes, the 40 beds per gross acre, is also from other parts of our codified ordinances. So we're keeping in this already exists, 1 and 2 family dwelling units. What we're saying is if you're building a house, whether it's 1 or 2 family, all you have to do is meet the requirements that you have to meet for a house now. So we kept that in the ordinance. We're deleting the building area, and please note that this is a major change. Presently, the building area we have right now is 150,000 square feet. The total building square footage is 200,000 square feet. So the reason it's 200,000 square feet is if you have multi-stories, so the base footprint exists as it exists is 150,000, but as you go up, you can go up to 200,000 square feet. So this is getting deleted, and we're replacing it with the maximum building footprint area is 90,000 square feet, and the total maximum gross floor area is 180,000 square foot, significant reductions. Currently, the building height is 85 feet. We heard from town council that 85 feet is too high, and from some of our planning commission members. So we reduced the building height to 45 feet and 55 feet. The reason for the difference between the 45 and 55 is our design standards, architectural design standards, are that we want peaked roofs. We don't want the flat roofs. So although you'll still be able to build a flat roof, we're encouraging by allowing a taller building, or not discouraging a taller building, and allow to go 55 foot tall if you have a greater than 5 to 1, 5 to 12 roof pitch, 512 roof pitch. So that's encouraging steeper roofs. And if you look through the town, you'll see that we have a lot of steep pitched roofs. The 45 feet mimics what you're allowed to build a house at right now in an R1 and R2 district. So we're keeping no less than 50% of the total square footage within a land development shall be commercial. The idea there is we didn't want a large, just a apartment complex to be built and nothing else. So we encouraged, or we wrote this into the ordinance. There is a part of this that said if it has 3 sides, abutting residential, that part of the ordinance does not apply. The reason for that is if you go back to that first picture that I showed, the part that's up on the hill above the red beds is surrounded on 3 sides. That's ideal for residential development. And in fact, it abuts residential development. It's possible for the townhouses to come over that way, or it's possible to build additional residential 1 and 2 family dwellings up there. We kept in there the building coverage based on gross lot area shall not exceed 25%. That's not changing. The road access, we're deleting that, and the reason we're deleting it is, and I thought I'd just throw that in there in case anybody fell asleep at this point. Maybe that might get some attention. So there for a second, I forgot that I did that. I wondered, don't tell me I forgot that. The marginal access street. We've never had that in there. And a marginal access street, we have a couple of places in the town where McKnight Road's a limited access highway. So we put side roads into it so that you could access properties that abut McKnight Road, but they do not have direct access. We call those marginal access roads. So in this case, we added that into the ordinance. So we're keeping all the rezoning and traffic impact information that we had in there. We decided in 2013 that we should do a traffic impact study. We're in keeping the incentive development. The incentive development doesn't seem powerful enough, but it's the most we can do. We put that in there with the idea that we had hoped that somebody might take us up on it and redevelop the Rave Cinemas and turn it into a park. So we put this in here with that idea, and we gave a couple of benefits. So far, no one seems to think that's a good idea, and we're also this is all part of that. So we're also keeping the lot coverage. We're keeping all these parts. We're not changing any of that. So this is something new, and what we're doing is adding a master plan. The master planning gives the developer the opportunity to move things around within a plan and not have to meet some of those restrictive setbacks that we had in the opening part of the standards. So if you develop a master plan, you still have to meet all the standards from around the perimeter, for example, the 100-foot setbacks, the 200-foot setbacks, and you have to meet the perimeter buffer yards. But within the plan, you do not have to meet those same standards. So that's what this is attempting to do. And we had a whole lot of discussion on this. And the reason we had so much discussion on it, it became a little bit of a concern that we do not give too much freedom to the developer. So we added some thoughts in here that might so that we're protected, so that the town's protected from somebody just running rampant within a development. One of the things that we were concerned about is H, and what we're talking about is everybody talks about putting in pervious surface, right? So what we didn't want them to do, didn't want anybody to do, is use pervious surface as a way to put a lot of parking in or a lot of gray space in. Pervious surface has has its place, but we didn't want it to replace green space. So we put that restriction that we have in A to protect that from happening. And we also have some minor setbacks from streets and things like that, so that they can't just build up on the street. So we're still trying to keep green space. One of the big things in here is that that we still have 40% green space is still required. So another new section is, and this is what started the whole thing, is that we are now permitting personal care homes in this district. And then section 5 is just the repealer that we are now putting in all of our ordinances. So that's it.
For questions? We're ready for questions?
Yes.
Now, this is about the changing of the zoning, what we have up here. This is not about lot or about specific plan, buildings, that kind of thing. So that will all have to come back to us when we have a big plan of exactly where buildings will go and what those buildings will be and where sidewalks will be and all that kind of stuff. So, what questions we're taking now are questions that are just pertaining to this ordinance and things have been added or changed. Are there any questions from council at all? Okay. Are there any questions from the citizens?
Hi, good evening. On the picture of the zoning, it does not, Marcia Caliendo, Mohican Avenue. Thank you. It doesn't include the Rave Cinema. Is the Rave Cinema, is that the brown area?
Yes, it is.
What's that currently zoned
That's
as?
zone D development, that's our performance zoning district, which creates development, some potential development issues, because that is almost 100, that's about 90% floodplain.
Right.
So that creates there were some issues with developing in that area.
I-
It does not include that area.
Okay, I understand that from the public hearing that was presented in October, and I know that they weren't looking at that area, they were just looking at this area.
Correct.
Is it any benefit to make that a C5?
Not at this time. And we've discussed that with them. In fact, if you remember, I brought that up at the the Planning Commission meeting we had in October. I asked them about that, knowing full well what the answer was going to be.
Well, I know they don't want it, but
But the acquisition and development of that property would delay any development greatly. It
Okay.
will take years to develop that unless you're just going to keep that building and not redevelop it, the building more than 50% of its value. It's going to take years to get that property developed.
okay. And does this include, like AHN has a place, that there's buildings, or is that C7?
That's the C7 piece.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, Amy Worsman. I thought you had mentioned in the slides something about the park and ride that was there, or parking spaces?
Yes, yeah, that's part of our incentive development. It's the entire D development. And what we did was try to offer, I'm sorry.
But that's not part of the ordinance that you're
That is
changing?
not, no.
Okay.
That's the area that we just spoke about. And that is located right here.
Okay.
That is not part of this. We did offer incentives for, if this could be developed as a park-like area, then we would offer some incentives for development in here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bruce, I have a quick question, please.
Yes, sir.
Would you show us with your little red guidance, where exactly is the Rave Theater on this?
Rave Theater it's hard to see here, but this is the Rave Theater on Blazer Drive.
Okay, it's not outlined on the map unless I can't.
Yeah, you
It's
can't
hard
see
to
it.
see.
It's a
It's
lighter
there.
brown. It's a little lighter
Can
brown.
you see it? I can't.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Kim, Barry Ford from Continental has a comment.
Good evening, Barry Ford with Continental Real Estate. I lead the development team. I wanted to thank Bruce and Gavin, planning folks, for working with us on this. I really believe we've helped you improve your zoning, and you've helped us to be able to advance a project that I think is going to be terrific for the community and for our company. So we look forward to bringing in a full plan that you can review and help us get it right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If there are no other comments from council or the citizens, then we will close the public hearing. Next is reports of the committees. Finance and Personnel Committee.
I move to approve checklisting number 3 dated February 7th, 2019 through March 6th, 2019, totaling $667,004.76 as submitted to each member of council and posted on the bulletin board and town website.
Second.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. We've had this list, as all of our checklists are posted on the website, as well as hard copies that we've been looking at the last 2 meetings. Are there any questions or corrections from anyone on council? Any questions from anyone, any of the citizens, anyone in the audience? It's about the checklist bills. Okay, having no questions or comments, there's been a motion to approve the checklist number 3 dating February 7th, 2019 through March 6th, 2019. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Public Works.
Move to approve a contract to Park Edge Excavating, the lowest responsible bidder, for rental of a .75 cubic yard or larger excavating machine with operator and high lift with 1.5 cubic yard bucket or larger with operator, each at a rate of $95 per hour.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. This is the lowest responsible bidder for a 1.5 cubic yard bucket, high lift, and operator. Any comments or questions from council? Any from the audience? Hearing none, all in favor of awarding the contract, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Move to approve a contract to A. Liberoni Inc., the lowest responsible bidder, for construction and repaving of various town roads under the 2019 paving program at a total bid price of $1,879,646.46.
Second?
Second.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second. Are there any questions from council? Any questions from the audience? This is one of our big ticket items, our repaving of our roads. No comments? There's been a motion, a second. Time for comments. All those in favor of awarding the contract to A. Liberoni as the lowest responsible bidder for our paving program for this year indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any unfinished business? Okay, new business.
Item 9A, move to appoint Robert Grimm as town manager and town secretary of the town of McCandless, effective on or about April the 8th, 2019, with a salary of $120,000 prorated for the calendar year 2019 and as per the accepted offer letter of March 20th, 2019.
Is there a second?
Second.
There has been a motion and a second. I have a comment. I wanted to read into the record and to the citizens what some of the managerial responsibilities that we advertised for. So this is directly from one of our ads, and it says, managerial responsibilities include municipal administration of approximately 18+ million general budget fund, staff of 70 full-time employees in areas of administration, finance, communications, public safety, public works, planning, land use, zoning, and stormwater management. Candidates must have a BA or BS degree in public administration, business administration, planning, or related field. Graduate degree is preferred. Candidates must also have the understanding of Pennsylvania municipal law plus a minimum of 5 years of municipal management experience. A strong work ethic and excellent communication skills are a must. Candidates with skills or experience in collective bargaining, municipal financing management, project oversight, contract performance, and personnel administration are preferred. So those are just some of the qualifications you had to get this position. Mr. Grimm is coming to us from North Fayette Township, whose general fund is $11 million. He has experience in both home rule municipality as well as second-class township for a total of 27 years of local government experience. He has a BS in Man-Environmental Relations. His major is in Urban and Regional Planning, with coursework toward a master's in Public Administration. His references were impeccable. His background check flawless. I believe that he will make an excellent McCandless Town Manager. Are there any other comments from council? Are there any comments from the citizens? Hearing none, there's been a motion to appoint Robert Grimm as Town Manager of the Town of McCandless, effective on or about April 8th, 2018. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Council,
Mr. Grimm,
what was the date you just said?
April 8th.
I was sworn you said 18, I'm sorry. It is the 8th.
Did I say 8th?
I thought you said.
We know you meant
8th.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, 8th, yes. Mr. Grimm, will you please come forward? Welcome to the town of McCandless. We're very glad to have you.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words?
Sure.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I'd like to thank the council for their vote and their confidence in my abilities. After listening to the position description again, I know I have my work cut out for me. I look forward to getting to know the residents of the town, the council, and the staff here, and working alongside everybody. I think the world of Toby. We've known each other for years. He's accomplished so much here, and I know he'll be a hard act to follow. But I'll do my best, working with all of you to build on what has been accomplished and to continue to enhance the quality of life here, as well as continue the tradition of quality and responsive local government in McCandless. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is the part of the meeting where if you have any comments that are unrelated to anything on the agenda that you would like to make, this is the time to please come forward. This is public comment time. Wow. Awesome. All right, hearing none, council is going to adjourn to executive session to discuss a potential litigation matter. There will not be any action after our meeting, so there's no reason for you to have to hang around. Go home and enjoy your evening. Thank you.